Dear children, now we are going to see Unit 3 drama, The Old Man River, written by Dorothy Deming. Actually, if you look upon the fact, the Old Man River refers to the river Mississippi. There are two famous rivers in North America. One is Mississippi and another one is Missouri. So, this Old Man River refers to river Mississippi. Do you know how it has got its name? Because when it flows along its countryside, it gives the shape of an old man. So, it is named so. The facts are telling like that. Old Man River, done by Dorothy Deming. In this lesson, we are going to see a disaster, flood, and a boy called Jim Hall. Actually, he is a member of JRC and he actively participated in Disaster Management Committee. It's a very excellent team also, rendering service to the nation. So, how he rescues the children and the home from the crisis, that's what we are going to see. And the characters, what we are going to see here is Amy Marshall, she is 17 years old girl, Betty Marshall, Amy's younger sister, then Rose Field, 16 years old, the Marshall's neighbor, she is one of the neighbors of Marshall, the Marshalls. Sarah Field, 9 years old small girl, and she is the sister of Rose. And Jim Hall, 17 years old, another neighbor. I said just before Jim Hall, he is a member of JRC, Junior Red Cross. Now, we go into scene 1. Scene 1 opens on a late afternoon in March at Amy's house. We know during rainy season, it will be very gloomy, dark everywhere and very chill everywhere too. So the scene opens in this situation. There is a continuous rain for 3 days. Rain is pouring like cats and dogs. I think you might have heard of the word cats and dogs. This phrase refers to heavy rain, thundering storm, we used to say, that is called cats and dogs. It rains heavily, so that we can say it rains cats and dogs. So there is a continuous rain for 3 days. And in this situation, Amy's house is on the line of the Old Man River, that is on the line of the Mississippi River. Amy's house is on the line of the Old Man River. It's their fortune, we can say. Now, Amy, Betty and Rose are sitting around the living room table. Amy, Betty and Rose are sitting and knitting something around the living room table. It has become complete dark, so they are a little bit startled. Now, Jim, who served on the Junior Red Cross Emergency Squad, comes to Amy's house to inform about the cloudburst. Here is also a very good phrase, a new phrase to you, dear children. Cloudburst also refers to thundering storm and heavy rain, just like cats and dogs. So Jim enters now. He has served on the Junior Red Cross Emergency Squad, comes to Amy's house to inform about the cloudburst. The river is rising fast to the expectation, and also there is an old dam called the Brunette Dam. Brunette Dam was also built across the river. The Brunette Dam gives its way in the sense, aduvum thanniye thirandu vitruchu, because it was very weak. It could not hold water anymore because there is a continuous rain for 3 days. So it also gives its way. So the situation is very difficult, and the radio announces that the river is above flood stage. So it has to be the time, a very crucial time for them. The radio announces the river is above the flood stage. And also, unfortunately, Amy's parents are not in home. That is the big problem for them. So, no elder people is there. Amy's parents are not in home. So, what they are going to do? It's a very, the situation itself is a very pathetic one, Yes. Now, Jim, with his experience in JRC, as JRC students gets trained in many difficult situations, facing the crisis with a smiling face, Jim, with his experience in JRC, organizes the girls perfectly. Now he has started organizing. So instead of just swimming over and feeling sad about this issue, we have to do the next thing. So Jim perfectly organizes the girls now. Amy's mother calls Amy over the phone. Amy's mother is in a somewhat distant place, but she calls over the phone that the bridges between the town and her place. So the bridges between the town and her place is perfectly underwater. So she cannot reach her home. So she asks all of them to be very careful. Now, Jim wants all the children to take precautions as the river is rising. Just think it over. If we were there, what we would have done? So here, acting smartly is the main thing we have to do. So Jim, being practiced as a JRC commander, Jim wants all the children to take precautions as the river is rising. So what are the precautions we would take? Suppose if we get a power cut off suddenly in our house, what will we do? We will search for candles, and also we will keep our match boxes with us, isn't it? So we will close all the windows, we will take up all the dry clothes and put it in shelter. So these are the precautions we will do usually. So here also, Jim wants all the children to take precautions as the river is rising very fast. So they have started doing something. They collect candles and a flashlight. What is meant by flashlight? It's a beautiful term. Flashlight is nothing but a torchlight, we can say. They collect candles and flashlight. Now, the telephone is now dead because of a devastating flood. It's perfectly dead. So they cannot connect their mother hereafter. Jim asks them to fill the tubs and pails with water. So they have started collecting water also, because they have to stay in their home for at least some 3 or 4 more days without any help. So they need water, food and shelter. These are the basic needs of man as we have studied in our lower classes. What are the basic needs of man? Food, clothing and shelter. So they have to preserve all these things. So Jim asks them to fill the tubs and pails with water. Pail na bucket. Bucket nu solluva illengla adha. Now the river has crept up to the door. The river has started rising. Since they are on the line of the river, it has touched the door. The river water has touched the door as an unwelcomed stranger. Now, Jim takes his next plan. Jim has now decided to climb into the attic. Attic அப்படினா நம்ம தமிழ்ல சொல்லுவோம் பரணைன்னு சொல்லுவோம். அதுக்கு மேல போனாக்கா நம்ம we can see the நம்ம மொட்டை மாடின்னு சொல்லுவீங்களா அங்க போயிடுவோம் நம்ம. So Jim has decided to climb the attic onto the roof. Roofக்கு போகணும்னாக்கா attic மேல ஏறி தான் போகணும். Because he wants to signal someone for help. Actually we used to do, to signal, to get help from others. So Jim, being a JRC boy, he wants to get the attraction of some other people. He expects rain to stop, but rain is very furious and it's showing its own way. He tells the children, the girls, that they will signal for help from the roof. So if we go to the roof, we can signal others with the help of a flashlight. If you show a flashlight, others will see. Even in some films we might have seen, a famous film called Titanic, they used to blow some lights so that others can see from faraway places also, so that they can come for their rescue. So he tells them that they will signal to others for help from the rooftop. All of a sudden, they hear a voice. They hear a voice of a small girl. They are completely startled. It is none but Sarah, Rose's younger sister, in the playhouse porch. You know what is porch? Porch means just a veranda. Actually, she is playing in the porch without knowing the things happening. Being a very small girl, she is playing there. She is younger sister of Rose. So she is playing there. Now they all hear the sound of Sarah. Now only they notice the girl playing there in the porch. Water is also rising. The very terrible situation there. Now Jim wants Sarah not to move anywhere because water is gushing everywhere. So Jim again wants Sarah to stay there itself. He asks her not to move anywhere, to stay in that place itself. Now Jim wading in the rain water. What is meant by wading? Wade அப்படினாக்கா தண்ணில நடக்கிறது. நிறைய ஒரு முட்டி வரைக்கும் தண்ணி வந்துட்டா நம்ம நடப்ப இல்லைங்களா தண்ணில. So we can't walk fast. We can just wade, slow நடந்து போறது. So Jim wades in the rainwater and finally bring Sarah safe. Now all are happy. So that small girl is also rescued now. Jim tells them that the floor will be underwater by morning. So in a polite way, without threatening them, Jim cautiously warns them. What he says, that the floor will be underwater by morning if the same rain continues all the night. So they have to do something now. So what they have to do? They have to escape from that place first. They must get relief from that place first. So unexpectedly no one is there, no one is around them to help them. Only river water, all where rain and river water can be seen. So there is no other way for Jim. So he has to do something, being the only boy and also he is trained in JRC. He has to act smartly and intelligently. So what he does? Jim decides to climb the top. There is no other way. The only way is to get help from others. They have to get the attraction of others. So Jim decides to climb to the top to get help from anyone by waving the flashlight. So he climbs the attic, he stands over the rooftop and he just shows the flashlight to ask to get help from someone. So these are all the things we can see in the scene 1. Now what we have to do? If you are not in any of the social welfare clubs, do join in any one of the social welfare clubs and serve the nation eminently. And thank you for joining with me. Thank you. Let us see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.